people have decided to critique my video about the supposed audit by Cyber Ninjas and my critique of, well, apparently her name is Liz Harris's group, claiming to canvass a specific number of people and get a specific number of anomalies, but and they're referring to it as the canvas report or the sample report or something. All to toss out the votes of 3.4 million Arizonans. All you have to do is claim 270,000 irregularities that you derive from a claimed 40,000 interviews that are then later on said to be 5,000 interviews, but were 4,570 non-random voter audits or interrogations. But within that group, you can make the 164 or 330 things you claim are anomalies into 250,000 votes thrown out. Now, this is not an inappropriate thing to say because of all the very large numbers people claim. Oh, you're claiming it's 250,000? Or you're claiming it's 3 million votes? You're claiming it's 2 million? I'll use the low number because that's horrible. Out of a sample of less than 5,000 people where that number kept changing, let's look at 164 or 330 results where we don't know the details because Liz Harris and her group won't give out the information because they're hiding something. And decide we're going to throw out 250,000 votes just so we can make sure that we can get rid of a specific number so Donald Trump is the winner somehow. And just keep chipping away at it. So eventually you can exonerate Donald Trump for having more than half the population vote against him because of 164 or 330 very significant people that were not picked randomly. When people are asked months after the fact that they voted, or why didn't you vote when you were registered, some will over or underreport their participation in light of social pressure to demonstrate actions they perceive as socially desirable, because they may feel intimidated by people showing up at their door in a previously illegal attempt at getting information out of them about how they voted. It used to be illegal to do this, guys, come on. And, very importantly, because if you tell them, it would be really a shame if you didn't vote and you're a registered Republican, that's why we non-randomly came here, and if you just claim you voted when you didn't, then we can say that it's an anomaly and maybe put Trump back in office. Maybe Liz Harris can be put in office too because it's specific to Liz Harris. Her group claimed to have originally canvassed 40,000 voters and more or less. In the initial report, they offered only one specific example as evidence. One address in Goodyear, Arizona, claimed to be a vacant lot for which voters cast 2 ballots. Illegally, of course. Except it's a lie. It wasn't a mistake because they took a photo of it in a way that showed the vacant area of a non-vacant lot with a house on it. It wasn't vacant, and they lied about it. And you know what? That photo and the address listed is still on the fucking report, which means they're in your face saying, on the face of it, prima facie, on the outside of the report, this is a vacant lot. And this is the number 5. After this was pointed out to them, they still left it on the report as a neener. Contrarians and, more importantly, sociopaths will keep doing this kind of shit. They don't have to stop lying when they're found out to have made a mistake. They just say it again. That means they're lying. This is the group I'm supposed to take seriously. This is the group you demand that I acknowledge as being dominant. Liz Harris's group then posted just one other specific example as evidence, one address in Tempe, Arizona that was supposed to be a vacant lot from which a voter cast an illegal ballot. And again, totally, I'm shocked. It was a mobile home park originally when the voting happened, but after the fact, it's different looking. And voters are legally allowed at the time and still, much to the chagrin of Liz Harris, to vote listing their last domicile address if they are military people or overseas or for other reasons. As long as they're within county, it's not an aberration. It's just that they moved from one mobile home park to another. In the middle of a fucking pandemic, people might do those sorts of things. It's not even accommodations for the pandemic. It's just that was the rule before the fucking election. It was also the rule when Trump got elected. Or not. Depending on what you people want to type down in the description. In the discussion area, aka comment section. the monkey shit fight. So here we go. Liz Harris's group then, in their report, claimed to have canvassed only 4,570 registered voters, 1/10 of the number that was done on social media and talked about. Out of that, they made sure that they found 964 people out of this very non-random group that they sampled that had been not voting. These were people who were registered to vote, registered voters, and they made sure that they did this totally random sample. So almost about 1/5 of them, 20% of them, didn't vote. That way they could interrogate them about this failure to vote like good Republican, conservative, people, or even Democrat at that point, and on their front door, usually with 3 of them showing up to ask them questions. And no, they're never going to be abusive or obnoxious. None of you have ever had somebody come to your door and demand information about you and not, and have them, be annoying or anything. And out of that 964 people that really didn't vote, they managed to get 330 to claim they did vote, either by saying, you're going to really be ashamed if you voted Trump and it didn't get counted, or not. Well, you're just reading stuff into it. It wasn't a random sample done by a random number generator picking the people to be sampled. I've worked at a couple of companies doing surveys for finding out what dish soap they use. You don't concentrate in an area unless you want a certain outcome, or you need a really good reason to do that. If you're doing just Maricopa County, do everybody in Maricopa County, or do a random sample of people. Don't find a way to make it to where 20% of the people you talk to are going to have that problem. So, out of the 40,000, they got 4,000. And out of that 4,000, they found 964 people who didn't vote. And out of that, only 330 decided to change their answer and say they voted so that an aberration would occur. That's 330 people, if you're using just this information, to invalidate over 250,000 votes worth as irregularities by extrapolating that up. Or just ignoring Arizona's outcome that was certified several times over now. What about the other number, 164 people? They said they mailed in ballots. They said that mail-in ballots with their addresses, the return address, were cast by people they had never met or had moved away. How many were moved away and how many were people they didn't know? Oh, that information isn't necessarily available, is it? Liz Harris's group hasn't released details. They just did glittering generalities in an 11-page report, a conclusion, without the data. Or did they? Now, I'm asking this of people who didn't read any of this. Links below in the description to an archive of the 11-page report, just 2 copies. One leads to an archive that goes 07F, and the other one is ending in RYVW. You can read the report and see if I'm wrong. None of you did. None of you posted a link to this. None of the people commenting on this subject put the report up on screen. So, mail-in ballots were sent from an address, and when they visited the address, whoever was living there at the time, months after this election, said they didn't know who they were talking about, and or those were people who moved. Meaning, these are people who are new to the House, but that's 164 people, as long as we don't tell you what outcome it was, that we can claim as anomalies and extrapolate that up. So now, 164 people and or 330 people get to invalidate Donald Trump being a loser. Because you can't find, this is the funny thing, examples of actual voter fraud, where an address was really a vacant lot. You put up 2 fake vacant lots. So let's run this down. The group's claim of sample sizing changed by 10 to 1. The report gave 2 failed fraud examples and left one of them on the front page. Meaning they're lying. Once you find out you're wrong, you change it. You lied. It's a PDF file. It's an electronic file on a WordPress site. You can just edit the thing and upload it again. No, let's leave it up there to cheese off people who give a shit. Within hours of the report's released, some people started getting lots of donation requests out because we got to fight the power. And of course, the entire conclusion was to invalidate all mail-in ballots to make sure that state is the one state that doesn't allow mail-in ballots at all. Because every time they allow mail-in ballots, they don't have the ability to control the outcome as easily. Why don't you do a canvass with the latest registered voters list? Because that's not the people who voted, and they're analyzing the people who voted, not the people who would vote today. If this is a supposed factual account of the stories presented, I can't wait to hear the take on the Maricopa after audit report drops. Again, Cyber Ninjas is blocking it. No, it's someone posted. It must be the state of Arizona blocking them or something. No, the state of Arizona demanded they release the information. Yes, they were being blocked because they were told you don't have rights to this. You're some private company demanding people's voter records. You can't have them. You know, unless you're selling soap or something. Out of 2.1 million, this is the claim on this page, the group sampled, audited 5,000 voters, or almost 5,000. 500 would be a significant sample size for a canvass. No, it is not. 5,000 is considered somewhat, but 300 out of 5,000 is a good way to derive if you do this sample of 300 out of 5,000. That's where you're getting things wrong. This is a sample of 5,000 people out of a state with millions of people in it. Maricopa County alone had millions of votes. 5,000 out of 1 million can be used, but only if it's done very broadly and very evenly. Not that you picked on purpose areas where a lot of people registered to vote but didn't bother voting because they figured they were going to win. Some of them were overconfident Biden supporters. Some were overconfident Trump supporters. Everybody was overconfident. That was what happened to every one of you out there who didn't believe. Tell me if you were confident your side was going to win. I dare you. No, the Republicans weren't confident. That's why they're bitching months later. They went to an area where people didn't vote, but registered to vote, and then stood on their doorway and asked them, did you vote? Tried to get them to say yes so that they could get some aberrations going on. And yeah, there's some video recordings people took of the meeting at the doorway where they were kind of being cajoled in this way. By the way, every time anybody's ever asked me if I voted, I always say no. Or I say yes to get them off my neck. No, I always just say no. Because I don't want them to have the rest of the conversation. It's not your damn business. By the way, some of you may not realize this, but I could have voted for Trump. In another year, I might have. Years and years ago, he was the best candidate. He just didn't really run, which was a pain in the ass. He was at the time a successful businessman, and a lot of people liked him, and he should have won. I said it. No, I'm not anti-Trump in the old Trump. You know, the old Trump when he wasn't an idiot. He's lost his fucking cool anyway. It's accurate. This is solid evidence, period. Fact. Anyone with any discernment could have seen on November 4th the election was manipulated with vote dumps for Dementia Joe and the Ho. By the way, cool rhyming there. No, there weren't vote dumps. It was people lying about it. You can see this happening in every election. Yes, you can. No, you're not looking. Next, here are the nasty things, but here we go. You're preaching about taking data and twisting it to fit an outcome. When you point the finger, there are 4 fingers pointing back at you. You added a dishonest pretext to numbers you find problematic to your narrative. That's a complicated way of saying you're calling me a liar. You're a lost lib. Calm down, Dracula. Finally, a compliment. You clueless liar. You on crack? Nope, no way Biden won. And that's literally all of the critique. And again, most of you haven't read this report, and I couldn't find a copy of it clean and simple. At least I didn't think so. And then the problem happened. This is the part that's the most annoying part of this whole fucking deal, and I'm closing my text file over here. I saw the report and didn't think it was real because it looks so amateurish and cartoonishly bad. It also went out of its way not to present evidence. This time I've archived it successfully by doing a little trick where I can get Google to let me archive it. And you can read the damn thing. I fucking dare you. Extrapolating from this kind of a sample, not randomly picked, isn't how we do things. Now, everybody who posted any nasty comments or just in denialism isn't getting posted. They can post later. You're free to post anytime you want to. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And no, it wasn't a valid canvassing. This would have been thrown out if it was done to figure out what mouthwash you like.